Greetings. Welcome to Intellica. Good morning, everyone. So today we are going to read five top most news, and here we have selected Daily Star as today's newspaper. So the first news that we are going to talk about is Gen Z under pressure, the silent mental health struggle. So let's start. Generation Z, often celebrated as the most connected and informed generation in history, is quietly battling a growing mental health crisis. While technology has opened doors to endless opportunities, it has also exposed young people to new forms of pressure, uncertainty, and emotional strain. Across the world, rising numbers of young people report feeling anxious, stressed, and overwhelmed. In Bangladesh, the picture is no different. Many young people are struggling to balance academic expectations, career ambitions, family demands, and personal relationships. At the same time, social media constantly presents polished versions of other people's lives, making other making many feel inadequate or left behind. The pressure to succeed has become relentless. Students often find themselves chasing grades, scholarships, and future careers while trying to meet expectations from family and society. For many, the fear of failure creates a constant sense of worry. Relationship difficulties, concerns about the future, and financial uncertainty further add to the burden. Yet, there is a notable shift in attitudes. Unlike previous generation, many young people are increasingly willing to discuss their emotional well-being and seek support when needed. Conversation around counseling and emotional care are becoming more common, helping to reduce the stigma that once surrounded such issues. Experts and international organizations have repeatedly highlighted the growing scale of the problem. Reports indicate that large numbers of young people experience persistent anxiety about their future, while feelings of loneliness and sadness continue to rise. These challenges are not limited to Bangladesh. Countries such as the United States, Japan, Finland, and Canada have also recognized the importance of supporting young people's emotional well being through awareness programs and accessible support services. Despite increasing awareness, Bangladesh still faces significant gaps in support systems for young people. Access to professional guidance remains limited, and many families are unsure how to respond when a young person is struggling emotionally. The solution begins at home and within communities. Parents, teachers, and friends can play a powerful role by listening without judgment and creating safe spaces for honest conversations, encouraging face to face interactions, reducing excessive screen time, and promoting balanced lifestyles can also make a meaningful difference. Mental well being should be treated with the same importance as physical health. A generation that feels heard, supported, and valued is more likely to thrive. As today's young people prepare to shape the future, ensure their emotional well being is not merely a personal concern, it is a social responsibility. So I think this is totally relatable. In fact, being a Gen Z person, I think this is uh, absolutely an incredible news because being a Gen Z, I also feel like that sometimes, and that there's so much pressure. What should I do, and where should I go? Whether I'm doing the right work, uh, whether I am following my passion, and many things. And they just constantly create pressure on our mind, and uh, that's very much relatable, and I can resonate with this news, being a Gen Z. So that was the news. That was the first news of today's, which is titled as Gen Z Under Pressure, the Silent Mental Health Struggle. Now, let's move on to the next news that titled Public Universities, Curfew for Women and Freedom for Men. Female students say unequal rules cost them campus life, jobs, and independence. Kashira Sultana's mother traveled more than 300 kilometers from Dinajpur to Dhaka University to surprise her daughter with her favorite meal. She reached Rukaya Hall at 10:58 p.m., nearly an hour after the gates had closed, but was denied entry. Kashira, a resident of the hall, was not allowed to go outside to meet her either. Around the same time, a male student living in a nearby hall stepped out of his residence for a walk on campus. Male students at Dhaka University can enter and leave their halls at any hour. This stark contrast reflects a broader pattern across public universities in Bangladesh. Female students routinely face stricter restrictions than their male peers, limiting not only their movement but also their access to work, campus life, and social interactions. So, this was, I think, written by Kashira. For the first time in my life, I had to accept that I'm a woman. Male students don't face anything like this. I lost a job because the position required working until 9:30 p.m. The curfew made that impossible. While DU formally enforces a 10 p.m. deadline to return to halls for female students, often extended informally to around 11 p.m., many other public universities impose tighter deadlines. At several institutions, female students must return by 8 p.m. or 9 p.m., with penalties for late entry ranging from warnings to administrative action. Interviews with more than 20 female students from Dhaka University, Khulna University, Shahjalan University of Science and Technology, and Maulana Bhashani Science and Technology University suggest that these rules are both widely enforced and unevenly applied compared to the unrestricted access granted to male students. Income at stake. For many students from middle and lower income backgrounds, private tutoring and part time work are essential sources of income. But strict curfews make it difficult for female students to continue such jobs. Afrin, a student at Khulna University, said most tutoring opportunities takes place in the late afternoon or evening. After classes end around 4 p.m. or 5 p.m., however, traffic congestion in the city often makes it impossible to return before the 8 p.m. or 9 p.m. deadlines. Some of my friends had to quit their tutoring jobs because they couldn't make it back in time, she said. Students at Maulana Bhashani Science and Technology University in Tangal described similar challenges. Lisa, a resident of Fazilatun Nesa Juha Hall, said traveling to town for tutoring is time consuming, leaving little margin to meet the deadline. Students whose classes end in the afternoon often struggle to return before the deadline, she said. Neha, another student, added that attempts to contact hall authorities for late entry approval often go unanswered, leaving students stranded outside. The restrictions have also cost students formal job opportunities. Kashira said she had to decline a position at a fashion house because it required work until 9:30 p.m., making it impossible to return to her hall on time. Campus life curtailed. Beyond income, students say the current system limits their participation in campus life. Female students are often prohibited from entering other women's hall, even for routine visits. Nuzia Hassin Rasha, former president of Revolutionary Students Unity at Dhaka University, criticized the policy as discriminatory. Male students face no such restrictions. She said these rules isolate female students and restrict their social and academic engagement. Extracurricular activities are also affected. Ruma, a student at SAST, said involvement in clubs, campus events has declined among female students as curfew enforcement has tightened in recent years. Events often run into the evening, and many students choose not to participate because they won't be able to return on time, she said. Female students, including Saima Azam Mridula of Dhaka University's Kobi Sufia Kamal Hall, also criticized the prior approval system for late entry as impractical, arguing that it is difficult to predict emergencies or delays in advance. Safety concerns. University authorities defend the restrictions as necessary for safety reasons. Professor Salman Nasrin, provost of Kobi Sufia Kamal Hall at Dhaka University, said there is little need to extend the current deadline. The system already allows some flexibility, including late night entry permission in special cases. She said extending the deadline further may only push students to return even later. Professor Husne Ara Begum, Provost of Rukaya Hall also cited security concerns. Given the current social environment, we cannot guarantee complete safety for female students late at night, she said. Until conditions improve, extending hours may not be advisable. However, in the event of an emergency, the local guardian can come under the established rules and, if necessary, take the student home, she added. S.K. Faizan bin Halim, Assistant Provost of Aparajita Hall at Khulna University, and Sabiha Afrin Begum, Provost of Sirajul Nessa Chaudhuri Hall at SAST, said their nighttime hall entry deadline is aimed at ensuring students' safety. However, they allow late night entry and exception in certain cases and do not involve character shaming of students who return after the deadline. Policing behavior. However, students argue that enforcement often goes beyond safety concerns and involves intrusive monitoring and moral judgment. Samira Farzana, a former SAS student, recalled that hall authorities would sometimes admonish students saying, "Good girls don't stay out late." Others reported more suggestive remarks. "We know what you do late at night," a provost allegedly told students, according to Ruma. Students from Khulna University and Maulana Bhashani Science and Technology University described similar experiences, saying such comments made them feel humiliated and discouraged them from staying in university halls. Some students have chosen to move into rented accommodation to avoid such situation despite the additional financial burden. Students across the universities say they want more flexible and equitable policies that reflect their academic, economic, and personal needs. They also call for simpler procedures for late entry, especially in emergency situations. The rules authorities say are about safety. Students say they come at the cost of income loss, curtailed campus, and social life and independence. So this was the second news that we have read today, which was titled "Public Universities, where curfew for women, but freedom for men." So let's move on to the third news, which is titled as "I was thinking of my parents and grandparents." Sanjay, artists react after historic World Cup performance. The world moves in a flash at 130 beats per minute. For months, the preparation for Sanjay Dev was exciting and nerve-wracking at the same time. Behind the private jets and celebratory blogs that he posted was immaculate planning and a mountain of expectations. Bass, when the bass dropped, he was standing at the center of the footballing wall. Honestly, it all happened so fast. Sanjay reflected over the phone. After I would finally gotten a hold of him after the ceremony, I realized that his voice was carrying the residual adrenaline of someone who was still processing things. We spent so much time creating the outfit, rehearsing, preparing, and dreaming about this moment. Then suddenly you are standing on a FIFA World Cup stage. 3 minutes later, it's over. On Friday afternoon at Toronto's BMO Field, the Bangladeshi American electronic music producer anchored a seismic cultural moment. Stepping onto the turf alongside Bollywood's Noora Fatehi and French artist Veggie Dream to deliver Sir Sir, a standout track on the official FIFA World Cup 2026 soundtrack album. Sanjay commanded a global audience of millions. Yet, for all the pyrotechnics and stadium roar, the definition image of the ceremony was local. Sanjay performed while donning a striking maroon jacket. Its sleeve intricately embroidered with the Royal Bengal tiger, the shapla, water lily, and the crimson sun of the Bangladeshi flag. Every time he pointed to his arm, he was not just showing off a design, he was anchoring his heritage in real time. I thought about my parents, my grandma, my grandfather, who is not with us, but I know he's watching. And honestly, the younger version of myself who used to dream about moments like this. Sanjay was a boy molded by his classical musical family long before immigrating to California and navigating the competitive American showbiz landscape. Growing up, I never imagined that one day I would be performing at the FIFA World Cup opening ceremony, he admitted. So standing there and seeing it become real was incredibly emotional. So this was one of the Sanjay's, I think, Facebook post, my people. This is just the start of something beautiful. It would be naive to mistake this peak for a finale if his track record of cracking the US top 40 and collaborating with global giants like Batcha and GOT7's Young Jays has proven anything. It is that Sanjay treats milestones merely as launchpads. I genuinely feel like this is just the beginning, he insists. The goal has never been one moment or one stage. It's always been about building a global career and creating music that connects people across cultures. The producer is already looking toward the horizon. The focus has swiftly shifted back to the studio and impending global tour. Right now, I am focused on continuing to tell that story through new music and live shows around the world. Sanjay said, "We have a lot of music coming, and after seeing the response to Sir Sir, I am more inspired than ever." As the World Cup matches get underway, Sanjay leaves the tournament with something far more permanent than a performance credit. If FIFA has taught me anything, it's that music has the power to bring the entire world together. He said, the conviction clear in his voice. I want to keep chasing that feeling. So that was about Sanjay Dev's feelings about regarding performing in the World Cups. I think with Nura Fatehi. So that was the third news that we have read. Let's move on to the fourth news. I think it's about Trump. So the news titled as Trump turns 80 with cage fight at the White House. Donald Trump Donald Trump celebrated his 18th birthday in typically forceful style on Sunday. As the oldest US president ever to take office holds a bloody cage match on the White House lawn. The unprecedented UFC Freedom 250 event will see 14 Ultimate Fighting Championship stars beat each other to a pulp in a giant arena called the Claw. Costing 60 million, it's linked to this year's festive fights for the 25th anniversary of US independence, but it also happens to fall on the day that Trump enters his ninth decade. Critics have derided the violent extravaganza in America's most famous backyard, saying it is in poor state during a war with Iran that has sent prices soaring for ordinary people. Trump may clinch a long shot peace deal with Iran on his big day, although Tehran has cast doubt on that timing. The billionaire president, who has deep ties with sport those young male fans reflect his own political base, defended the UFC event as a unique spectacle. This is going to be an event you are really gonna like, Trump said as he hosted some of the muscle bound bare knuckle fighters in the Oval Office in May. The White House says the UFC is bearing the entire cost. UFC's chief content officer Craig Borsari denied blending sports with politics. The way we look at this is we have an unbelievable, incredibly unique opportunity to celebrate this country and our athletes. Borsari told a news conference this week. Great fighting machine. In a dramatic touch, some of the top fighters taking part in Sunday's event are reportedly said to emerge from the Oval Office itself before marching out to the historic South Lawn. The fights themselves will take place in the octagon, an eight-sided wire mesh cage surrounded by seats for more than 4,000 spectators. UFC combatant Michael Chandler, who is fighting on Sunday, said it was the biggest fight event in combat sports history. French fighter Cyril Gain also said he was focusing on the sporting element. We are not in politics in any way, but we have the opportunity to be exposed to the eyes of the world. We have to take it. He told AFP earlier this month. There will be a nod to the 250th celebration with historical vignettes between bouts, Axios reported, and there will also be military bands, a US military flyover and parachute display, and a 10-minute fireworks finale. Big flashy shows. Another battle has already been won. A US judge on Friday rejected a bid by two local residents to halt the fight on the grounds that the event was corrupt. Trump's birthday fight has already taken over much of downtown Washington. The fighters are being wait in outside the Lincoln Memorial, and there's space for some 125,000 people to watch the event on a giant screen on the National Mall. The macho spectacle has also distracted from questions about Trump's health as he turns 80. Trump loves to compare his virility to Democratic predecessor Joe Biden, who was forced to drop his bid for a second term after a disastrous debate with the Republican. But from bruised hands to a vein condition in his legs and apparent sleepiness in meetings, Trump has also had a number of issues, even though his doctor says he is in excellent health. Trump admitted that he was not happy about that birthday that I'm having in a video posted by one of his officials this week. It's not a number I like, but I am here nevertheless. In fact, the former reality TV star will be the front and center throughout the gore and glitz as he always is. He's treating the presidency the way he treats his previous career, a big flashy show. Peter Lodge, director of George Washington University's School of Media, told AFP for his last birthday, Trump oversaw an unprecedented military parade in Washington, marking the 250th anniversary of the U.S. Army. Moral of the story of this news is Trump just turned 80. So this was our fourth news, and let's move on to our fifth and final news of today, which is a technological news, which is saying why AI cannot be left unsupervised. In November 2021, all 193 UNESCO member states unanimously adopted the landmark recommendation on the ethics of artificial intelligence. This is the world's first global framework for ensuring that AI remains transparent, accountable, fair, and subject to meaningful human oversight. Yet, despite these efforts, researchers continue to find that many AI systems reproduce racial, gender, and social prejudices embedded in the data on which they are trained. A 2024 study found that generative AI tools can amplify stereotypes about race and gender, sometimes producing results even more biased than those found in society itself. In December 2022, UC Berkeley researcher Stephen Piantadosi publicly demonstrated that when an early version of ChatGPT was asked to write a Python function determining whether someone would be a good scientist based on race and gender, it returned true only for a white male and false for everyone else. In a related prompt, when the model was asked to write code deciding whether a person should be tortured based on country of region, it produced a function flagging people from specific nations such as North Korea, Syria, and Iran. Most people would immediately recognize such outputs as morally unacceptable, but these examples reveal something deeper and far more troubling. Artificial intelligence has no inherent understanding of justice, equality, or human dignity. It learns patterns. If the data it consumes contains prejudice, the machine can reproduce prejudice. If society's biases are embedded in its training materials, they can emerge in its answers. For decades, the internet has served as the world's largest repository of human knowledge. It has also been a repository of human ignorance, discrimination, misinformation, conspiracy theories, and hate. Modern AI systems are trained on enormous quantities of online content, while developers try to implement filters and safeguards. No filtering system is perfect. As a result, AI models may absorb patterns that mirror historical inequalities and stereotypes. Researchers at the US National Institute of Standards and Technology (NIST) have warned that AI bias originates not only from data but also from broader societal structures and human decision making processes. Researchers have found that many AI image generation tools do not represent people equally. Women and people of color are often shown less frequently in high status professions and more frequently in lower paying jobs. A 2023 Bloomberg investigation analyzes more than 5,000 images generated by Stable Diffusion found that over 80% of people shown in high paying professions such as CEOs and lawyers had lighter skin tones. Women were also significantly underrepresented. For example, the AI portrayed women as judges only 3% of the time, even though women make up about one third of judges in the United States. These findings suggest that AI systems can reinforce and even amplify existing social stereotypes. UNESCO found similar gender bias in AI models. A 2024 UNESCO study of GPT-2, GPT 3.5, and LLM, Llama 2 showed that these models linked men more closely with leadership, science, technology, and career-related works, while linking women more closely with the domestic roles. One model found that women are described in domestic roles 4 times more often than men. Meanwhile, government and companies are increasingly using AI in hiring, policing, welfare, education, and healthcare. In the United Kingdom, a February 2024 government fairness review found that an AI welfare fraud system used for universal credit advances showed statistically significant differences across race, disability, marital status, and nationwide. However, the Department for Work and Pension said there were no immediate concern of unfair treatment. These cases expose the dangerous assumption that often accompanies technological innovation, that algorithms are neutral. They are not. An algorithm trained on biased information can make biased recommendations. A machine learning model optimized for historical outcomes can reproduce historical injustices. A generative AI system trained on discriminatory content can generate discriminatory responses. Now, a new threat is emerging as AI generated content floods the internet. Future AI models may increasingly be trained on content created by previous AI systems. Researchers have begun warning about a feedback loop in which synthetic data contaminates future training dataset. In simple terms, machine may begin learning from machines. A 2024 Nature study by Oxford and Cambridge researchers found that AI models can suffer model collapse. When they are repeatedly trained on AI generated content, over time they first lose rare patterns and minority data. Some analysts warn that AI could generate up to 90% of online content within a few years. What is the potential danger in this ecosystem? Imagine photocopying a document thousands of times. Each copy introduces tiny imperfections. Eventually, the original image becomes distorted beyond recognition. Sometimes similar may occur with AI generated knowledge. If biased, inaccurate, and fabricated AI content spreads across websites, blogs, forums, social media, future system may absorb and reinforce those distortions. The result could be a more binary world, one where nuance disappears, stereotypes harden, and automated systems increasingly categorize people into simplistic groups. This is precisely why human oversight must remain at the center of AI development. Thus, UNESCO recommendation to incorporate human oversight at every stage of AI development should be supported as a core principle of responsible AI governance. Human in the loop system offer one of the most effective safeguards against algorithmic harm rather than allowing AI systems to operate autonomously. Human reviewers can monitor both the information AI systems consume and the outputs they generate. Experts can identify discriminatory patterns, verify factual accuracy, challenge questionable recommendation, intervene when models produce harmful content. Importantly, human oversight is not a sign of technological weaknesses. It is a recognition of technological reality. Even the most advanced AI systems lack moral judgment. And they do not understand fairness. They do not comprehend historical injustice. They cannot independently determine whether an output is ethically acceptable. Humans can. Human review is not an obstacle to innovation. It is a prerequisite for trustworthy innovation. Governments should therefore require independent audits of high-risk AI systems. Companies should maintain diverse human review teams capable of identifying cultural, racist, gender, and political biases. Educational institutions should teach algorithmic literacy so citizens understand how AI systems influence their lives. Most importantly, developers should be required to document training sources and demonstrate how bias testing is conducted before deployment. History teaches us that every transformative technology requires guardrails. Railways needed safety standards, pharmaceuticals require clinical trials, aviation demanded rigorous oversight, artificial intelligence should be no different. The question is not whether AI will shape our future, it already is doing so. The question is whether that future will be shaped solely by patterns extracted from the past or guided by human values capable of correcting them. However, it is good that OpenAI, Anthropic, and Google are regularly updating their policies to make information more reliable. In conclusion, machines can process information faster than any human being, but they cannot decide what kind of society we want to build. That responsibility remains ours. For that reason, every AI system that affects human lives should contain something no algorithm can replace. That is a human being in the loop. So that was the last, fifth, and final news that we have read today. So this was one of the technological news where they said why AI cannot be left unsupervised. So thank you for joining with us today in this video. And if you like this video, please uh, click on the like button. And if you are listening this from our Facebook channel, please like our Facebook channel and stay with us. And if you are listening it from our YouTube channel, please subscribe to our channel and stay tuned with the Intellica. Okay, thank you. See you in the next time.